This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I am your host, Mark. My guest today is a regular guy who happens to do a lot of creative stuff. Welcome Robert Scheffler to the podcast. Robert started on guitar after finding the one his mom had when she tried to take up the instrument. He played in school, he played in cover bands because where he was living, no one wanted originals. And he played solo gigs. He played supper clubs where you have to compete with food for the attention of the audience. He joined a band and enjoyed playing, but he also started freelance writing and researching. Soon, the music started taking a back seat to what was paying the bills. He found himself writing more and playing less until he finally stopped. He started writing humor full-time and did that for about 20 years. He didn't put music away completely, though. He'd sequester himself in a cabin from time to time and try to write. He did some composing for some short films, but he explains who and what got him back into writing, what it's like to have a good song in a bad movie, and we take a detour through our mutual love of the mighty Led Zeppelin. We do bring it all back around and talk about his latest album, Truce. It's my favorite in his catalog, and Robert reveals the novelist who inspired his new musical outlook. We also talk about the furniture he creates. Like I said, this guy does a lot of creative stuff. Go check out his music on streaming platforms. You can also check out that and his furniture at robertschefflermusic.com. That's also got all his socials on it. Follow us at PerformanceANX on socials, buy merch at performanceanx.threadless.com, or just send money to ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. Now let's get into this chat with the mighty Robert Scheffler on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Okay. Hey, this is Robert Scheffler. My new record is called Truce. It's out at the end of June, and it's my pleasure to be on Performance Anxiety with Mark Shea. All right, cool.
Let's try this. Let's see if we can get the audio to cooperate with us.
Okay.
So thank you again for hopping on with me. I've been listening to the new album, and I am really impressed, man. That is really good.
Thank you. I'm so glad.
But I want to find out how we got to this point. So let's kind of start from the very, very, very beginning. You know, like kind of like a tell me about your mother kind of a thing. So you're out of New York. You're based out of New York City right now. Is that where you're from, or are you a transplant?
I'm from the suburbs, so Long Island, which is a suburb of New York City. So I was a suburban kid. For me, like the grandparents lived in the city, like Queens, kind of halfway. But as an adult, and I started off being afraid of the city. I didn't go, and then it wasn't until after college when I had friends started moving into the city. Once you know somebody who has tamed it,
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey, half in Virginia, half in New Jersey, so I know what you mean.
Where in Jersey?
Like right smack in the middle, in like right on the border of Somerset and Hunterdon counties.
Okay, I don't know that.
So it's a Somerville, Flemington area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Long Valley, is it called, or some? I've been to the other, like the Pennsylvania border, but
yeah, I was like right in the middle. We were like about an hour from New York and an hour from Philly.
Okay,
maybe just a little over. So it was like right smack in the middle of the state.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was like the 80s. It was an awesome time to grow up.
No.
So
yeah. I had a good time out in Long Island. From Long Island, and eventually, as an adult, much later, moved into the city.
So was music a big presence in your early life? I mean, were your parents into it? Did anybody play music?
Yeah, I had a legacy. I had a grandfather who was a horn player. I didn't, he was past his horn playing days when I knew him. But so that was there. And then both my parents liked music. My dad was a big audiophile, so he would build amplifiers and speakers and blast opera and stuff. So it wasn't, we didn't share the music, but just maybe the appreciation for, big sound.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. We had these speakers. We had them for years they were the size of a dresser, like a bedroom dresser. It was ridiculous. Back then we're oversized, but so that was around. And then there was a guitar in the house, I think, because my mom went through a phase of adult education, sort of painting, sculpting, classes. And one of them, I think, was music. I think that's how the guitar got in the house. So it was there. And I picked it, I taught myself. And I was in, like a lot of kids, in band, in school.
What did you play?
Played the clarinet.
Oh, nice. I had three. I had a trumpet, tuba, and French horn.
Tuba.
Yeah, they're all a year apart, so they're all in there at the same time.
So, I guess the good thing is, you play, you learn music, but, it was kind of nerdy, so I was glad to be in it. But so I taught myself guitar, and that's kind of with the whole other stream of pop music and interest in writing. So
what were you listening to that really got you into music?
I think, I have probably credit my older sister coming home with the Stones and Beatles and Dylan. And so I, was probably just emulating her, I think, until I got a little older and developed my fixations on Led Zeppelin and eventually Neil Young and Jackson Brown. And
the greats.
For writing purposes, it was mostly and playing guitar. It was mostly Neil Young and Jackson Brown, those kind of guys.
Oh, that's awesome. You can't really pick better people to emulate, really.
Right. And the guitar, the songs are they're not simple songs, but they're easy to learn on guitar,
they're catchy.
Yeah. And easy chords.
That helps. Yeah.
Yeah, not too jazzy or anything.
So when did the bug hit you to start playing in bands and make your own music? Were you writing your own music early on?
I was writing songs, but, I don't know that I played them for anybody really or cared much about it, but it was always kind of there. And I think it was after college, I looked to a friend of mine, John, and I put together a band. And, in the suburbs, you're doing cover bands to get gigs. There's not much original music. Maybe it's changed. I don't think so. But
I don't think so. Nobody wants to hear the originals,
Yeah. So, you sneak them in eventually. But so, we would just, we got a band together and we're doing cover bar gigs. And eventually we started writing and I started writing and I guess the idea, it's a no-brainer, but the idea is suddenly you have a venue and a band that's going to play songs, and so it's this is cool, and so that's how that got started. And then eventually just, I guess the progression just went eventually to all the original material and dropped the covers.
Was
a long journey?
Yeah. Was the intent, was that with A Million Pieces?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Amelia, yeah. So there were a few bands on Long Island hooking up with different guys and doing the bar gigs. And then A Million Pieces came when I did move to the city and it was clear that I wanted to write full time and do that. A couple of guys that I knew from Long Island had moved into the city, and that was A Million Pieces. It was basically a trio mostly, but we would add a guitar player once in a while too. And that's and that's really the kind of what became for me the idea of being in the city, playing out all as much as you can, doing all original tunes. Okay. So that was I was taking it more seriously.
So was the move to New York City to be a musician, or was there something else in the musician that was something else you were doing at the same time?
It was to be a musician.
Okay. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. how long was A Million Pieces together? How long did that band last?
Wow. That's a good question. I mean, it was several years, probably from the late 90s through the 2000s,
Okay.
I probably several, like maybe 7 years or something like that, I think. I'd have to look back.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Well, hopefully it's not the last good question, too. So
yeah, right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So with that, were you playing mostly in New York, or did you guys venture out of the general city area?
Yeah, we would do, I mean, I wouldn't call them tours, but, we would venture out. We would do Jersey. We went into Massachusetts. As a solo, would venture out to Philly and Boston, like for music festivals in Toronto. Yeah, so we pretty much stuck close to home. And the guys I was playing with were pretty kind of in demand-ish, not really session guys, but in multiple bands. And so they were always kind of busy in the city. And the city, had a ton, obviously, it just had a ton of clubs and a ton of places to play. So I didn't, myself, I didn't feel the need so much to be on the road kind of, and so.
Yeah. So you were playing solo gigs at this point as well then?
Yeah, I would do solo gigs too.
Oh, okay. Was that mostly originals, or was that a kind of a mix still?
Always originals. But, tough, I don't know if you've done that yourself, but it's
no. I've always been in the crowd.
Yeah. It's daunting, some of the clubs you're playing or can be focused on your food and drinks, and you don't have the amperage, the wattage to push yourself across the crowd. So it's a different.
Actually, I do a lot of concert photography in the DC area, and there's a bunch of supper clubs that it's like that. It's not so much that the bands that are playing there that I'm covering are having trouble with the music, pushing the music. It's the taking the attention away from the food.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a strange environment, and I've seen some really cool artists, but it's growing up in the New Jersey area. I went to Stone Pony, Brownies, the Theater of Living Arts, and all. No food. You went there to go see a show, so it's kind of it's a weird environment in my mind. So
it's a weird environment. I think about myself when I'm out to eat. It's like, I want to eat. It's nice. That's a tough gig.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, I'm not a musician, and I've never done that. The closest thing I can say is sales, outside sales, door to door, selling life insurance. Maybe not too dissimilar, maybe not exactly the same, but At least when you go into a club, people want to hear you. Nobody wants to hear the insurance guy.
Yeah.
Thank God I don't do that anymore. Anyway.
Yeah, right.
So you're gigging with A Million Pieces. You're doing solo gigs. But in the meantime, you're also a freelance researcher and writer. So how did you start doing that?
So I was lucky enough to get a freelance job. Belittles it to call it a day job, but it was a day job when I started. But mostly because it was flexible, and so my partner had a friend, who I knew, and he was working there and recommended me for the job, and it was a great freelance schedule. And lo and behold, I found the work so interesting, and it was just a great environment, like full of smart people and young people who would come out and see me play, and then that just the one that just took over, in the gigs. I was a little bit plateauing, to be honest. In the gigs, I was doing the same clubs, and it just I would have meetings with people in industry, and but I was kind of feeling a little plateauy. And then I had this job that luckily I was able to invest myself in it, and it was great. I loved it. And then I eventually started doing some writing for the magazine, which was a thrill,
What kind of stuff were you doing?
It was humor. I was doing silly humor pieces,
Yes.
Nothing serious. I think the serious guys were great to work with in a research capacity, but I just wanted to be silly, and they allowed me to.
That's awesome.
I love it.
That's the kind of stuff I would love to get into. If ever I was able to get into writing, it would be silliness. So,
I can tell that about you.
Yeah. Thank you. So when you were doing that, did you stop writing and performing completely, or were you still doing that on the side?
I was doing it, it kind of slowly decreased, and then it became pretty sporadic. Yeah. And I didn't have the same fire maybe to write, because I didn't have the same reason, I guess, So I would, when I thought about it or had an idea, I'd work on it, but I did really kind of put it aside for a while.
Wow. Also, I imagine, you're writing during the day. I know it's not exactly the same thing, but that you're still writing for music. It's you kind of maybe you want to rest your hand a little bit, or your fingers.
Yeah. And I was really interested in the work at the magazine too. That just was really satisfying. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
So how long were you doing that for?
I did that for a long time. It was like 20 years or something. Wow. From like freelance days, and then eventually just became a career, and it was great. And so I just recently left that, and that's when I started this record. I was one of my goals was to write, to sit down and buckle down and write. And so that's how this record, Truce, came to be.
Oh, okay. So your first releases, the Needles EP, Pretty Town, and Life of Luxury, those were all before this writing job. Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Okay. Because I was listening to those, and your first EP was really cool. So that came out in 99.
Yeah.
And I love the first track that just kind of encapsulates your sound.
You just need some time away. I'm on to you. Have your rendezvous. And when you're done with all your running, you can be forgiven.
Cool.
It's a perfect representation of the rest of the EP. It kind of tells you what you're in for the sound of the record, the quality of the writing, the overall tone of the music. It's awesome.
I still play that out. And that back in those days, I was submitting to a lot of contests. That song did really well, contest wise. So that was successful.
Okay. And that's Rendezvous. So that I love, that's my favorite off that EP.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, in 2002, you released your first LP, Pretty Town. And that was A Million Pieces still in the picture at this point? So, okay.
Yeah. And that was recorded by one of the guys in A Million Pieces, John Abbey. It was in Chicago now.
Oh, cool.
He started getting his studio engineering stuff together, and we did that record at his place. And it was all the guys from A Million Pieces, and he had a lot of other musician friends who came in and would do tracks. It was a great experience.
I like the sound. The sound is definitely it's a bit fuller than the Needles EP. It's really good. Jackson, I love Jackson, and the title track Pretty Town. Those are my two favorites off of that. Those are, like I said, it's kind of like Needles but expanded.
Yeah, I'm so glad you like Jackson, because that song it was one of my favorites too.
Oh, cool.
Nobody here knows you enough to care. I hear there might be work in Richfield, so if you're heading west, that's fair. Just don't go to Jackson, baby, 'cause I just came from there. A haircut, a shave, a little deceit might get you.
everybody else.
Really?
Yeah. Pretty Town did, I got a good response from that. And, but yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, awesome. So was it 2006, so about 4 years later, Life of Luxury came out? 2006, 2007, something like that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. The title song off that album it's one of my favorites from those three. It's out of actually all four of you, but it is one of my favorite songs of yours.
That's great.
I'm living a life of luxury. I got a sinker on the line. And I ain't waiting, and I ain't looking out for a better time.
During that period, were you doing more live? Were you doing more shows for A Million Pieces, or were you more concentrated or focused, I guess, on the solo work?
That was pretty. I did solo stuff like out of town, and if people were busy, but most of the, I loved playing with the band, and so that was the vast majority of shows were with the band, and in various configurations. But yeah, it was always good.
And like we said, your focus kind of shifted when you felt like you were plateauing to the writing. How did the band react to that? I mean, was it a mutual like, yeah, we're kind of done, or did they want to keep going?
Well, I mean, those guys were busy. They had no lack of gigs. So, I mean, hopefully they missed playing with me, but
Right.
I can't say for sure. And then I forget when, I don't know, John eventually moved to Chicago. So I'd run into Phil, the drummer, once in a while down at the Village. But yeah, I mean, those guys were just so busy. So if they cried, I didn't hear about it.
But then you got so busy, so it all worked. That worked out.
Yeah.
So then you end up doing what becomes, for lack of a better term, the day job. But that's not the last music you were working on. You also got into doing some work in soundtracks.
I did. Yeah. I mean, recently I would. Actually, it was Rendezvous, that song you were mentioning before, got put into a feature film. And then there were lots of snips of songs that would get used on TV, which for a while was just wonderful because I'd be watching, Animal Planet, and I'd hear a little bit of a song and I knew it was me, but, like maybe nobody else would because,
Right.
Used like the solo or the end.
That is wild.
But it was great for a while. And then more recently, a filmmaker friend of mine, Yvette, made a couple of short films that I did, compose music for. And that was a lot of fun, and I loved it. And I hope I can do more of that.
Those are the ones that are on your website, right?
Yes.
Those are awesome.
They're little, beautiful little films. She got a commission to do some films about this park right near us. And yeah, I was happy to do it. It was a great experience. I just, writing music is kind of can come quickly to me. So I would pitch her like five ideas for every each one of those films, and she would choose one. But it was great to sit down with the same visual and reimagine, like every day, just completely reimagine your approach to how this, should be represented musically. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I would love to do more of it.
That is awesome. So is that what the soundtrack collections are, or are those? Is it a mix of the short films and the others and other things?
Truth be told, those are all spec those are all things that I for a couple of times over the past several years, I did like a Bon Iver thing. I went to a cabin and sequestered myself.
Oh, cool.
I think that's what he did early on, but I could be mistaken. And I came out of there. I came out of those sessions with music, and that I thought, this is just good music. It was fun. I tried to do some song development on stuff, and nothing really caught. So, so I just collected those as bits, and hopefully somebody will. Thanks for listening to them, and hopefully,
yeah, of course,
somebody else will as well, and yeah.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. That's one of my favorite parts about doing this podcast is diving deep and trying to find things that maybe are hidden a little bit, or maybe not everybody knows about, regardless of who the artist is, and trying to find that unusual thing. And those soundtrack collections, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm glad.
In fact, so the one, it's on your website, so I don't feel bad saying this because this cracks me up. It says you've done a lot of work with soundtracks. One song was in a movie that the New York Times labeled an unpalatable mush.
Yeah.
What was that? Rendezvous?
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't say that about the song, even though the movie wasn't great.
Yeah. I hate to mention the title, but it was a thrill, to be in a movie theater and hear the song. And luckily they used a good chunk of like a whole verse and a chorus. It wasn't, like it was over like a montage. So there was a room for music there. Yeah. The movie just was.
But it's okay.
It was a for effort.
Exactly. And how many other people can say that, hey, my song, it's in a movie?
Is it a movie? Yeah.
I can't say that.
Yeah.
I'd have to write a song first for you to be able to even try. But so
yeah, well, they've find a better movie if you.
And some of that information is on your website, so if people want to figure it, we research that one.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make it a scavenger hunt.
Exactly. Maybe we should come up with a prize, like I don't know. If somebody can figure it out, maybe we can mail them a guitar pick or something.
Okay.
So what got you back into writing and recording again?
It was what I wanted to do. I left the job, and it was the first thing I wanted to do. So I updated all my software and got inspired by Warren Zevon and just people who can do a lot at home. And, I started out just making demos, and then, I didn't have a band, and I thought I could get decent sounds, working on it, tracking at home. And so I kind of stuck with it. And it was a long process, but I started being happy with the result. And then, I knew eventually I would turn all this stuff over to, a proper engineer and studio. Yeah. So I just tried to do as much as I could at home and stuck with it. But it was always my goal, to get back and make another record.
So you said Warren Zevon, Life Will Kill You is what inspired your approach.
Yeah, I had this great, when I was working at the magazine, I tried to pitch this. So we got an invitation came into the office for that record that was new, and there was going to be a studio event, not really a party, but just a release event or something like that. And nobody cared. Nobody wanted to go. And it's like, I'll go. I'd love to write, and so it was a great little experience. So we're in the studio downtown, Lower East Side, I think. And Zevon is there, and there's some other maybe people that worked on the record were there, and industry, record label people. And it's all very low key. I mean, if there were 24 people there, I don't even know if there was that much. But so, I was in this studio in the control room, and there's Warren Zevon, and he's talking about making this thing, and doing all these tracks at home and then bringing it into a studio to finish up. And I thought I had a great article to pitch. I thought I got the inside scoop, and I could follow up with interviews, personal interviews and stuff. But nobody cared. It was just, I couldn't get anyone interested. I wasn't. So I just always kept all the materials from that event, the promotional CDs and stuff. And it was always kind of sitting on my shelf,
staring at you.
Staring at me and touching me. Yeah. So, but it was an inspiration. It was like a little bit of confidence. It was like, this can be done. You could, it doesn't have to sound like a high school project, to work on stuff at home. And, I didn't kind of know I would take the journey that it did when at the time it was just, making demos. But I was like, no, let's do this, let's try it.
Oh, I love it. And the first thing you said about that just kind of still blows me away. I had updated all my software. That's just, it's what a crazy time now.
Yeah, right. There's so much, there's just, it runs into, it's a pit of money, but there's just, I'm on a MacBook, I'm on a laptop and, with Pro Tools, and it really is. It blew me away when I got back to it. And
the sound quality is amazing. I mean, you look at demos like you're saying. You grew up listening to the Stones and Led Zeppelin and all. I'm a huge Led Zeppelin nerd, and I have so many bootlegs of demos and live shows. And you listen to the demos, and it's some crappy reel-to-reel that they're playing on some open microphone, and there's hissing and ambient noise and everything. And nowadays you plug your equipment into your laptop and it sounds almost like a finished album as a demo.
And you have to buy some third-party software to get those hisses and to get the
exactly. You gotta get a plug-in to make it sound shitty.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
I'm speaking to a fellow Zeppelin fan. So when you think about Jimmy Page as a producer, isn't it incredible? The sound of those records always just blew my mind. Yeah. And they never sounded like nothing else.
Exactly. They're just amazing. I've got between Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page, I mean, here I'll give you a quick peek. That's my wall of CDs.
Oh my God.
So
I think of all the vinyl I might have saved, here's my Zeppelin. I discovered, I thought this was like a rare, yada yada, but it turned out it was just somebody recorded something off a BBC show, yeah. All
right, so we should stay in touch and swap Zeppelin bootlegs, because I've got between.
Oh, that's it. I'm done. You What do you have?
Oh man! All right. Well, let's see. I've got demos and stuff all the way from Olympic Studios in '68, all the way to demos of Jimmy playing with Roy Harper. I've got one of my favorites is, it's not an entire show; it's a portion of a live show. It's I think it's Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, Roy Harper, and Keith Moon, I think, is the band. And it's called like Elephants. I don't know, something about an elephant. That's the name of the band. It is crazy.
I know there's a song title with Roy Harper.
Hats off to Roy Harper. Yeah.
Yeah. What was he, a keyboard player or something?
No, he was he was a folk singer, but he was like this anarchist UK folk singer, just crazy. But his music's really good, and they loved his stuff, so they would take him on tour, and he would open for Led Zeppelin. And they loved him so much, they just wrote this song. I don't really want to say in the style of Roy Harper. It's just like they liked him so much, they named the song after him. And they just stayed in touch. Jimmy did an album. Well, Jimmy appeared on a couple of Roy Harper albums in the 70s. Stormcock and Life Mask. And you can definitely hear when Jimmy kicks in. It sounds like stuff off of Song Remains the Same.
Oh, wow.
And then in 84, they did an album together called Whatever Happened to Jugula. And that is awesome. It's got Jimmy and Roy Harper, and then the bass player is Tony Franklin, who played in The Firm with Jimmy later on.
Okay.
And he played in Blue Murder. He's an amazing fretless bass player. Unbelievable. Wow. And
cool.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to say I've got like 60 or 70 Zeppelin discs. I've got like their Bombay sessions, you know, when they did Friends, they did they played a couple tracks with the Bombay Symphony Orchestra, and they only recorded four takes, I think, like two different tracks. So I've got all of that, and then the rest of the album is just filled up with Jimmy's home demos. It's just like him playing. Oh, dude, it's crazy. If Jimmy farted on an album, I wanted it. I was a little bit obsessed.
Yeah. Okay.
And what's really cool is on podcasts, I've had Jimmy's daughter and his girlfriend.
Oh.
So both named Scarlett, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hopefully they're different people.
Yeah. Scarlett Page and Scarlett Sabet. So one with one T, one with two T's.
We were on vacation in Mexico in a little town called Todos Santos, which is on the peninsula, the Baja Peninsula.
Okay.
And we met one of the people we met there swore that John Paul Jones had a place there and can be seen around town, or I don't know if he ever showed up in like a club playing or something, but I never saw him, and I don't know if the story's true or not because this woman was a little shady. But I should look it up. I'll Google it later and see does he in this Mexico? But
yeah.
But of all the things, out of the blue, of all the people for her to say, oh, this somebody famous in town, I was like, really?
Jones, yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. And it's funny because I with this podcast, I've just kind of circled around Led Zeppelin. So like I said, I've had Jimmy's daughter, Scarlett. I've had his girlfriend, she's a poet, Scarlett Sabet. So sweet. She's amazing. I've had, Robert Plant's son-in-law, Charlie Jones. He's a bass player. He plays for the Cult now, but he used to play with Page and Plant.
Oh. And
I've had Alan Johannes, who played with John Paul Jones and Them Crooked Vultures, and I had John Bonham's sister on the podcast because she's been a musician since the 70s. So awesome. One of these days I might actually get a member of Led Zeppelin on this podcast, but until then I've kind of got all the relatives. Anyway, so this is not a Led Zeppelin podcast. So this is about Robert Scheffler. So let's get back to you. So. Where am I? So, the music for the new album, Truce.
Yeah.
Is it all new, or is there older stuff in it?
Nope. All new.
Wow.
That was what I wanted to do. I didn't want to bring up anything, even if, I wrote a song a few years ago and didn't play it for anybody. I didn't want to do that. I feel like, this is, let's get a beat on what's going on now.
And a fresh start for you too.
Yeah. I wanted to be excited and feel like the stuff was fresh, and so I made it a point to just stick to everything new.
And like you said, you wrote and recorded almost everything on this. So
yeah, how
difficult was that?
It was, it's a lot of sitting. It was fun. The writing was, when the writing was done, then I had to, redo all the demo versions on the tracks. And the fun part is having the luxury to be at home and fixing, a solo, because you can, you're not wasting anyone's time, you're not wasting money, and so it did. My brain had to expand, like to wonder about pads and keyboards and background kind of stuff that you don't necessarily hear unless it's missing, So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of learning. It was a learning curve for that kind of stuff, and that can get tedious at times. Until it comes together. I guess the tedium is usually when it's something's not working or something's missing and you're not sure what, and you're trying different things.
Yeah.
but when it comes together, it's super awesome, and I had a good time. I did. I'm sorry.
Damn it! I wanted to be I need some struggle in there. We need some conflict.
Yeah. Oh, there was conflict.
Self-conflict. So when you were satisfied with everything, you ended up handing everything over to Scott Anthony, from working with the Feelies and the Beastie Boys, which is a hell of a choice, man.
Maplewood, New Jersey.
Yep.
Yeah, I've known Scott for a long time. He recorded a lot of our band demos and a lot of the stuff on Life of Luxury. So it was great. He has a new studio and kind of did me a favor. He doesn't mix. He mostly masters records nowadays.
Okay.
But he did me a favor and went to his studio, and that took a few months to get it done. But it was great. I mean, it was just great to be in a studio and have him tinker on these tracks and just make them sound awesome. And he would hear things. It was amazing. This guy, like an engineer's ears. He would say, "Oh, what's bothering?" He would figure out that there was a breath like at the end of a phrase of a vocal that I never heard in my life, but it would bother him in the mix, and he would target this stuff.
Wow.
And it was a great experience to watch him work. But yeah, so I turned it all over to Scott, and that was also a lot of fun.
Was there any songs that changed shape or transformed once he got a hold of them?
Yes. Mainly just being with Scott and hearing it in the studio. Sometimes the arrangement that I had brought to him just wasn't working. It just, this is the second track called Hang On Skyline.
I love that one.
To what I had to do to leave it all behind. Hang on, skyline, hang on, moon. I'll be there soon. The city has spoken. The lights have grabbed a hold. I'm giving back everything I've been sold. I found a reckless heart that's gonna see me through.
Awesome. That started out, it kind of ended in the same place, but it started out very different. And we just kind of keep pulling things out. And again, the luxury that I had was that I could go back home and re-record things, that I wanted to try. So, but that song really got a whole reworking. It kind of was on 10 the whole time, or 11.
Yeah.
11 the whole time. And, which is how I envisioned it initially. It was just like, I want this to be a good rock song. But it just killed it. It was just stepping on the feel of it. And, so that got reworked.
Wow. Well, it's really cool that you're open to that too.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, you gotta be, but I would say my old set, years ago, I don't know that I was probably a little stupidly dogmatic about this kind of stuff,
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to give up. When I was starting to write this record too, I came across this guy, George Saunders, on TV. He's a novelist. I don't know if you know. He was on Colbert, and he's this very, respected novelist, big thinker. And he was like, yeah, if it's not fun, I don't do it. He's like, Colbert was asking him about his process, and he was like, yeah, if you're not having fun, change it, like put it away. And I was like, wow, if this guy can do that, and it definitely freed me up to be a little more relaxed about when things aren't working, because I think that, that didn't necessarily come naturally to me. I would, because, if I had a vision for the idea of a song, I would just kind of want to beat it into submission. And
I'm not dissimilar.
But I'm glad. A kindred spirit. It's
exactly.
Yeah, it's a lesson. It's a tough balance, but yeah. So I think that worked on some of these tunes. We could rework things.
Well, I love the idea behind "Where Do I Know You From."
Where do I from? You look so familiar. I don't mean to cause you worry. I don't mean to grill you. I got this mental image. There's no background with it. Where do I know you from? Just give me a minute. Where do I know you from? It's right there.
Like you've written about it, living in the city. Like, I know you from somewhere. Where? But you're in this enormous city with millions of people. So it's a really cool premise. But I have to say that my absolute favorite song on the album is Blue Sky Mess.
Oh, cool.
That is a killer song.
That was one of the later songs to be written, and I'm getting a pretty good response from that. So I'm glad to hear that.
It sounds a little bit different than a lot of the stuff on the album.
Yeah,
which to me, that's not why it's a standout. I mean, I just kind of gravitate towards those kind of songs anyway. But it's definitely my favorite. I also hear that in addition to this, you make furniture.
I do.
How did you get into that?
Yeah. Nothing you'd want to sit on. I don't know, but yeah, that was kind of the other thing when I left my job. Yeah, it was kind of my two favorite pastimes for music, and I find they're a good compliment. Because you can writing and recording is sitting a lot and mental anguish and. Being tired with your side table at home and wanting to make a new one was like a great project, and so yeah, I love doing it. I've done a little, I've dabbled in it, but I try to just learn a little more and watch a lot of YouTubes and these carpenters, and it's been fun. Yeah, I made some decent pieces, I think.
That's something that's always fascinated me. I would always love to get into some woodworking. Like, if I could buy a lathe, I think I'd be the happiest guy on the planet right now.
You don't need a lathe. You need a drill and a screwdriver.
Oh, well, there you go. That's true.
Yeah.
I just got to find the center point.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I miss and I'm lacking is space, is like workspace, because I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment in Manhattan.
That's tough.
And yeah, it's tough. So I'm running down like to the back alley and, sawing and making a mess in the stairs and laying a drop cloth when my husband's out of work, and making, spreading smelly stains everywhere. Yeah, I have to be like a little pack rat or like a squirrel with acorns. Right. It's kind of ridiculous. I have made it work, but it's. I'd love to get a. What do you have to do to get a garage in this town?
I don't really. You got to move back to Long Island.
That's too high a price.
Well, yeah. I can't, and everything in that tri-state area is too high a price. I could not afford to go back. Oh my gosh! So, what are the plans for the album? Are you planning to put a band together and play some shows? Are you planning on hitting the road?
Nah, no. I hope to set up. I haven't booked anything, but I could see myself doing some solo gigs, and I don't know. My goal was to write songs, and that's kind of what I really love doing. And if there's a I have limited energy, or just I'm just lazy. I just to like invent. To go out and pound and get bookings and stuff, and so I'm I want to keep writing, so I'm doing that, and I think it would be a dream to get a band together and play out some of these songs as they are represented on the record. I've also found some interesting because these songs haven't really been played out so much, when I do them on a solo version, they become different, so I'm going to look into that a little bit first, I think. Love to get a band to do this stuff, but I don't know if that'll happen.
Oh man, I hope it does, because I would love to hear how these things get transformed, even if it's a solo gig, because like you said, you've got to kind of rethink everything to do it in a live setting.
Yeah. And I did, as much as I liked, sort of the advantages of working on this, mostly myself, I certainly did miss the idea of, being in a room full of guys and playing stuff and hearing everyone's take,
Yeah.
Because I loved doing that back in the Million Pieces days. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not closing the door. Hopefully, it's like you gotta. I kind of don't know the same. I'm not connected in a circuit like I used to be, and so yeah, it would have to be take some pushing on my end, but yeah, maybe.
Okay, and you don't have to. The Beatles didn't tour,
right?
So they put out some good music.
Right, damn it!
Come on. Right. If we're taking inspiration from these amazing artists, let's take them from the Beatles. They put out great albums and didn't tour behind them at all.
Thank you, Mark.
So of course. So what is?
It was good enough for them. If they were lazy, I'm lazy. I'll be lazy like the Beatles.
Exactly. So what is the best way for people to find the music?
Well, it's going to be out on June 26th. It'll be on all the streaming platforms. Certainly you can connect with my website, robertschefflermusic.com. I'll have a whole, all links there. But yeah, it'll be on all the streaming and download, platforms.
Okay. Is there a social media presence where people can follow you if you decide to put out more music or play some shows?
It's probably not shows. Maybe Instagram. I could promote a show, but the website is the best place. Any music that I have will be on there for sure.
Okay, and that's got your soundtrack stuff too.
It does.
It's got some great information on all the albums.
Yeah, even got some furniture.
Exactly. It's all things Robert Scheffler.
It's a one-stop shop.
Exactly. It's like the Amazon for everything Robert Scheffler.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a blast. I've really enjoyed speaking with you. I've really been enjoying the album. I like finding albums that I can just put on and play. And it doesn't, the audience, I don't have to worry about language or, different, is this going to be too heavy for somebody? This is just like, it's a perfect album for me to put on for anybody.
Oh, great. Well, yeah, I've had a blast. It was really nice to talk with you, and I appreciate you listening.
Oh, my pleasure. And let's stay in touch and talk Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. You got me beat.
Of sunrise and a clamor in the trees calls the passing of the evening. I don't know if I believe. Time to get up, stretch my shoulders, feel the floor beneath